Hey everyone, welcome to the Withering Effect episode 82. Today's date is February 14th, 2021, and I am Duds, or Duds Versus, known to the rest of the interwebs.
And I'm Jimbo. You may know me as Jimbo Slice 23. Happy belated Valentine's Day to everyone. We are recording on Valentine's Day. So let's get into what we've done this week. What have you done?
Not sleep. That's one of the things.
Oh, you need that.
I don't know. It's like, so I got a new bed, which isn't super comfortable because I'm getting used to a new bed, but it's nice in the fact that I'm not waking up in back pain anymore. So the bed's doing what it's doing, but I think I've got to take the Sue's monster to the vet to go ahead and get her allergy shot. I thought we had gotten through it with some allergy medication over the counter. It's not working. She's keeping me up all night. And then last night, we didn't wrap up till late, so I already got a late start. And then if I'm not awake at 7:30 in the morning, she starts getting rambunctious and got to start moving around. It's like, oh, come on, dog. I literally have less than 5 hours of sleep. Let me sleep. And of course, all she's doing is sitting on the bed next to me, snoring. Like I can just look over. I'm like, you mean dog. Minecraft-wise, built a sugarcane cactus farm. Well, I haven't yet, but by the time you guys hear this, they will have been built. They'll be built in about 3 hours from now. And then I also had a video on my channel kind of take off, spur of the moment.
Yeah.
This episode is old. Like it came out in September, but a lot of people have gone back and watched it, and it ended up with like 1,000 views in a week. So I was like, oh man, that's awesome. And a lot of the new comments on it were for tutorials, and I had already planned on starting a more creative style series where it wasn't necessarily going to be a tutorial. It was, hey, I'm going to build something in creative and I'll show you my thinking behind how I did stuff. So maybe you can draw from that inspiration. It'd be great. So the new series was going to be called Build. Well, this one video got flooded with so many views and I got flooded with so many comments asking for a tutorial. The first build video turned out to be a somewhat tutorial for the end portal room, which seems to be what everyone's drawn to in this video. So, new series. Some people might like it, some people might not. Still doing ripple effect, but I'm happy. My channel finally got a little bit of traction and it's nice.
Yeah. And you said it's from people searching in portal rooms.
Yeah, it's not a YouTube algorithm. A video just happened to fall into it. 80% of the people who watch this video are searching for the video. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know what that means and what they're searching for to get my video.
What that means is whoever's listening, make end portals videos because people are searching them.
Jimbo, when are we going to get your end portal video?
I made one last night. No, I didn't.
Awesome. How has your week been?
It's been good. I have on my notes here, RTX tour, but technically it wasn't RTX.
It was a PTGI tour.
Yeah, Java doesn't support RTX. And I've come across videos and I've seen different shader packs for Java to where it looks just like RTX. And that confused me because I'd hear from you and from other people that Java doesn't support RTX. I'm like, wait a second, you could pay for it though. That was my first initial thought. Come to find out, no, you can't. Java for real doesn't support RTX.
Correct.
Even when I got the shaders, the PTGI, Zeus PTGI E12 shaders, they look like RTX, and I assume this is RTX. You even get like some of the color lighting. You get the sun rays, the reflections, you get all that. It's not as dynamic as the RTX, but it is really, really good. So I did this whole tour of the server in RTX. The bad part is with the PTGI, which is the path tracing, it's very CPU heavy.
It's a hog.
Yeah. You need a beefy CPU to like muscle through it to get the quality you need. Because I'm running, when I recorded, I was at 30 frames. And on my end, everything was fine. Everything looked great. But when rendering it and taking it over to my editing software, I usually edit it with 60 frames. So there was a little bit of lag in the video. Not too happy about that. but it did get the point across because these shaders look great, along with the Patrick's shaders that we mentioned before.
Yeah.
I think it was a pre or post show.
I think it was pre-show last week. So those of you who want to actually see these Patrick texture packs we talked about, you can actually watch Jimbo's video from Saturday and see it firsthand.
Yeah. The thing is, I was going around my build. I was like, I want to see my build in these shaders. It's not technically for modern builds, these shaders. It's very...
You mean texture pack?
Yeah, on the texture pack, Patrick's. It's very focused on like foliage, I don't know, an older style look. So I went around the server and found some wonderful examples of builds where these look wonderful. Sin's shop in the shopping district looked amazing with these shaders. Link's Hobbit house with all the foliage looked amazing. I highly recommend this with anyone who has... You don't need RTX. Do not need an RTX card. It's path tracing, but you do need a decent CPU to run this. Just a heads up. Carl, sorry. That iMac is probably not going to work for you.
It will literally catch fire.
Yeah.
One of the things you can do if you're recording and you notice that Minecraft's taking a lot of your CPU, if you have a newish style NVIDIA card, like my GTX 1070 will do it, the encoder, I think it's the Nevik encoder, you can switch that on in OBS and it'll take some of the strain off your CPU and it'll mainly focus on recording through the GPU, and that could help you also.
Yeah. You know what? I did that.
Okay.
I switched it because I got a better CPU. And I was like, let's put, more into the CPU and have the graphics card focus on something else.
Yeah.
So maybe if I switch that out, it'll probably be better.
And I mean, it really all depends. It's weird because basically me and my roommate have almost the exact same PC. His Nevik works better than mine. For some reason, mine doesn't work as well as just recording from the CPU, so I just always leave it on the CPU. But from what I hear, it's a great encoder, and I've seen it work for a lot of people. Just, it kind of depends. It's weird. PCs are weird like that.
Yeah, I came across a video that compared the RTX and the PTGI, and they're very similar, but the guy that was running the PTGI has the same equipment in his PC as I do. So he must have did that, let's put most of the recording software with the CPU or vice versa. But his frame rate was perfect. You couldn't tell there was any lag or anything, and we have the same setup. So
yeah,
I did something wrong. There's something you could do to get better quality out of it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize when you're doing these recordings and things, to get my quality, even the mic quality, I think everyone's heard over the last couple weeks for me, it's literally sitting down for hours and dialing in knobs and settings and filters and sliders. It takes a while to get that in a good spot.
Yeah. And your editing program also depends how it renders.
Yeah.
Sometimes it renders out different than what you see also. And then it goes to YouTube and YouTube compresses it. So it's gotta, it goes through a lot of phases. And that takes practice.
Yep.
Besides that, I had a lot of fun with that. As soon as I was over all that, got to see everything. I had a little mishap at my iron farm. I had like 3 or 4 golems in there, and you were there.
Yep.
And I went to help the pillagers out and kill the golems. If I use my looting sword with my bow, I can get more iron. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to kill these golems. I shot a guy with a banner by accident and started a raid because the villagers in the iron farm are like right next to me. So this raid starts and I'm starting to freak out. I'm like, oh no, the last thing I need is Vex to spawn and kill my villagers. I do not want that. I panic. I'm shooting these pillagers and stuff. I was like, I got to take care of all this. As the bar goes down, more pillagers just keep spawning. I'm at an old, used to be pillager outpost. That's how my iron farm works. And the bar just keeps going back up. Slowly works its way back up because they keep spawning. They're not technically a part of the raid, but they're pillagers and they're considered a part of the raid. By the time you got to my base, there had to have been over 300 pillagers running around this small area?
It looked like thousands, though.
Yeah. The funny part is 2 things. 1, I could go down there and roam around with them. They did not care about me whatsoever. They were after the villagers, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm running around there. There's hundreds of them just running around me, just, the area of the killing area. And I'm like, this is so weird. They do not care about me. And they had their weapons, and it was just pillagers, no evokers or the other illagers.
Uh-huh.
Another thing I noticed, no iron golems were spawning. So they were just piling up and piling up. And what was your frame rate when you came over to look at it?
So anywhere else in your base, I could look and I could get about 150 frames. When I looked into the hole where all the pillagers were, my frame rate was 7.
Yeah.
Not 7D, not 17, 7.
Just 7.
Just 7.
Yeah. I tried to do the flyaway, despawn and everything. It was a raid, so they weren't going anywhere. But as time went on and I was pretty much mesmerized. I was like, this is so cool. Kind of, the frame rate wasn't helpful, but it was just cool to see all these villagers. It's a rare moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just running around and I'm with them. But eventually the raid just stopped. If you don't mess with it, it just stops. It goes away. And golems started spawning again. And the golems just cleaned house. It was pretty cool to see.
Mm-hmm.
And they, shooting the golem, they were killing each other. So definitely it fixed itself eventually.
Yeah.
That was a pretty fun moment. And that's about it for my week.
Crazy weeks all around.
Crazy. It's a lot of fun though.
It was hilarious. I've done a replay mod footage of it, and it will be in the quote-unquote end credits of my episode that's coming out this week. So if you watch the video and you don't remember seeing that, go back and check the very end, because that's where it's going to be.
Yeah, I put it at the beginning of mine, because this I didn't even do my intro yet, and I was like, I have to record this.
Yeah.
This is nuts. Even my wife was in the room. I was like, I have to record something right now. I know, usually I don't record if my wife was in the room, but I was like, I need you to turn the heater off. I have got to record this.
All right, well, should we hop into the news? Because it's a big one.
Yeah, we better.
So we got a new snapshot, 21W06A. There's no B attached to this one as of yet. New features are added noise caves and aquifers. There's a lot of text here. If there's something we want to talk about, let's just go ahead and stop and talk about it then instead of waiting for me to read it all.
Okay.
Because it's a pretty big paragraph.
Yeah.
So we have noise caves are a new way of generating caves, providing more natural variety. Wow, words. They can get huge sometimes. Noise caves come in 2 flavors. Cheese caves. Cheese.
That's good flavor.
Like the holes in Swiss cheese, these often form more caverns of various sizes, or spaghetti caves, which are long squiggly tunnels, sometimes wide. Like, that's a type of pasta. I don't know how to even pronounce it. It's too early for that.
It starts with tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen or heard of that word before.
I'm not a pasta person, so.
No.
Not that I don't like pasta, it's just I can't eat pasta a lot.
The spaghetti caves sound like the caves that we have now. These are completely different.
Right. I could not figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I agree with you. Spaghetti caves just sound like the caves we already have. And the cheese caves, they just kind of feel more like pocket caves to me.
Okay.
They'll attach to stuff, but not intentionally. It's kind of like they just so happen to attach to things. I'm more impressed with the aquifers, and we'll get to that in a minute. I want to point out that noise caves are not loud. The noise part of noise caves is a technical term and it has nothing to do with sound.
And I love the fact that they had to put that in there.
Yes.
I think it's funny that's part of the notes.
Yeah, as someone who works with electricity, I understand the term noise.
Yeah.
Not meaning actual sound.
We mention a lot like this block is noisy, this looks noisy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah, it just doesn't look crisp, which you don't want caves to look crisp.
Right.
Because then it looks fake.
Right.
The old cave carvers and canyons still generate, combining with the noise caves to form interesting cave systems. That they do. As with carvers, when noise caves intersect the surface, they form cave entrances. This is looking pretty cool.
Mm.
An aquifer is an area with local water level independent to sea level. Super cool. Aquifers are used during world generation to generate bodies of water inside noise caves. This sometimes results in large underground lakes, and they are stunningly beautiful.
Yeah, I love that feature, the aquifers. You mentioned aquifers, and I'm reading the notes of aquifers. I'm like, what in the world is an aquifer? I'm glad you were able to clarify that. But yeah, you could see in the footage, yeah, the different levels of the lake beds and everything underground, and it does look amazing.
Think of it as an underground cave lake. That's an aquifer.
Mm-hmm.
For now, aquifers are only used below Y31. This means all noise caves between Y31 and sea level Y63 will be flooded with water, and noise cave entrances will essentially be lakes. This will be fixed later. Obviously, they know they have a bug in the code and they're working on it.
I was going to say, that note says it will be flooded with water. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, but then they always say this will be fixed later.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more of a placeholder. They're working on probably a cave biome, and I think the water is kind of being a placeholder. I felt said a noise filter, and it's like, stop it.
This is definitely a big change.
It really is.
Implementing, so there has got to be many bugs and fixes that they gotta throw in there to help.
Yeah, this generation is not an easy thing, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, we thought the Nether update was huge in redoing how that worked. Yeah, I think we were right in thinking that the 3D biome effect was just a test run for this.
Yeah.
And finally, underwater cave carvers and underwater canyons have been removed since aquifers are used to generate water in caves instead. Perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, okay with that.
Yeah, so before we go on to the changes, because the changes are the really big parts, I wanted to talk about some of these cave formations we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing caves go to the entrance, and obviously they're filled with water right now. By entrance, I mean Y level 63, land level.
Mm-hmm.
And this let me think about seed notes. I know I'm going to be pronouncing that wrong, but they're basically these pockets of caves that instead of running length and width, they run height, and they open to a hole in the ground, and it's basically just a pit. And usually they have water at the bottom of them or something like that. I would love to see a formation where it's just a cluster of noise caves in certain biomes that act like these sea notes, because it's a really cool thing that happens in real life. So if you could get that, I think it happens a lot in South America. I'm not 100% sure on that. The examples I saw were like Mayans using sea notes for rituals and stuff. Because they're such a cool thing, they have to be important, right? So if Mojang had the ability to be like, hey, in this biome, in a jungle biome, every once in a while you might run across a sea note, that'd be really cool. When it's just like 3 or 4 noise caves right next to each other.
Yeah, this might be a dumb question. What is a sea note?
So it's a cave that is more vertical.
Okay.
So like when you hear of people spelunking, like cave diving and stuff, it's usually in these sea notes because they're straight down. A couple people, they can be so big, you can see people skydiving into the cave.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Because they're that large.
All right.
I don't want anything that large. That'd be a little crazy. But having it like a small cluster near each other could be really cool.
Yeah, I was trying to put all the context clues together for sea notes when you said it. Confused me when you mentioned the Mayans. That's why.
I'm a little tired, so I might not be wording things correctly. So go ahead and question, and I'll try to explain the best I can.
You answered it.
Cool. They're very cool.
I mean, just thinking about the generations,
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually getting an idea for like, another base area, and I'm sure a lot of people with the new update will be building underground.
I have that feeling,
and that's kind of the idea. But we also have generation above, so that's another reason to build above the caves.
My only thing that I'm worried about, and I've made mention about this, is the amount of mobs spawning underground, because mobs always try to spawn as close to bedrock as they can.
Mm-hmm.
That's their starting point. So the lower in the world you put a mob farm, the more efficient it runs.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is I have the feeling these caves are going to be hugely packed with mobs, and the amount of work it's going to take to light them up will be a pain.
But if you also think about, all those mobs being generated underground, the surface will be a little safer.
This is true too.
You'd think at night it would be a little safer because all the mobs are spawning below you. That's where they start to spawn.
I don't know. It's something to think about. They have given us light sources in the glowberry vine, but I don't think anyone's going to want to spam an entire cave in glowberry vine. Same as with torches. Maybe this affects mob farms and the way we do things moving forward. Obviously, it's going to be a lot of more work to spawn proof some farms. I mean, remember witch farms. You have to do a lot of spawn proofing to get those to work efficiently, or you've got to build a pillar all the way up to like Y119 or something like that to get the best rates. So that's my only worry. The generation stuff, they look awesome, especially when you have multiple aquifers overlapping and you get like this lake that goes into a waterfall that goes into a lake that goes into a waterfall, just cascading waterfalls into lakes. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does look really nice.
And I'd love to see the biomes done, because we don't even have biomes in these things yet.
Right. Yeah, a lot of footage I've seen, people are flying through these caves. And you think, like, how in the world are they fitting all this open caves underground with so much room? Well, there's a reason.
Yeah, we'll get to that in the changes, I think.
Changes? We have overworld. Oh, my first word. I blew it.
First
word. Overworld build and generation limits have been expanded. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mineshafts adapt to larger caves. You can no longer crouch or jump to prevent a big drip leaf from tilting. A big drip leaf will now tilt rather than break when hit by a projectile. A redstone-powered drip leaf will not tilt, except when hit by a projectile. The textures for hanging roots and small drip leaves have been updated.
Yeah.
Should we go over that before more changes?
Yeah, let's go over drip leaves first, because everything else is going to deal with world generation, and we have another section for that.
Yeah.
But drip leaves, I was excited to see they asked this question on Twitter and was trying to get input from people, and I like this change a lot more, especially the big drip leaf won't break if it's hit by a projectile. It'll just tilt. And for any of you guys that were kids and messing with these vine-like plants, all of us have whacked it with a stick at some point. And when you whack it with a stick, it doesn't break. It just kind of falls over. So
yeah,
that feels more realistic. I like that. The no longer can crouch or jump to prevent the big leaf from tilting. I definitely think that's going to be better for parkour people. I'm not a parkour person, but this was going to be more of an aesthetic plant for me. So parkour people, let me know if you like that one more or not. But overall, the changes for Big Drip Leaf, good with. Makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't mind the way it worked before. It does make things a little more challenging to, go across or traverse across the drip leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Again, like you said, I'm not a parkour kind of guy either. I'm sure we're going to see them in so many different parkour maps because it's so unique.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a cool change. It's actually, you're able to use redstone with it. That's always a plus in my book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all I got with the drip leaf.
Yeah. So obviously, overworld build limits have been expanded both up and down, I believe.
Yes. The world generation changes.
Yeah.
Generation range and build limits have been expanded by 64 blocks up and 64 blocks down to total range of 384 blocks. That is a lot. It was 256 before.
Yep.
Underground features, structures, and caves generate all the way down to Y-64.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about this?
The expanding of build limits, love it. I've been kind of wanting that for a while. I do hope they move clouds upwards, though.
Yeah.
Because as of now, they're already in the way. and I don't play with clouds on because they're in the way. I'd love to turn clouds back on, so I kind of hope this is a good idea to, hey, let's push clouds to 385 or something like that. Just right above build limit. So then they're not getting in the way of stuff. I'm not a fan of the negative numbering.
Mm-hmm.
And this could just be a temporary thing. We don't know. To me, it gets a little confusing. Not so much to me and you who understand these changes stuff, but maybe to a newer player that might get a little weird unless negative Y levels signify something like the deep dark.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
But are you going to have a deep dark over your entire world?
Yeah. I mean, you imagine anything in the negatives would be able to generate the deep dark.
Yeah.
Just because of the fact that there's just so many open caves above it. At least some of the footage we've saw, we don't know how often these generate yet. It's not finalized.
Correct.
But you'd think, the negative area would house the deep dark because it's a lot deeper.
Yeah.
Now, this also raises the question, when I go mining for diamonds, I go to Y level 11.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because of the lava generation. Lava beds generate underground at 10 or 11, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
If you stay at 11, you're kind of at lava level. And this is the best place, in my opinion, to find the diamonds. With negative 64, are we going to have more and more places to find diamonds, or is that going to be lowered? That also raises that question.
Right. They're saying underground structures can go all the way down to Y64.
Mm-hmm.
What? Also, does this go ahead and move bedrock down below Y64? Or is it still going to be in its normal spot? And to get into the negatives, you have to find holes in the bedrock.
That would be cool. It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, I would assume they would just move it down.
Yeah.
Because bedrock's really supposed to let you know, hey, you can't go any further. And I don't think they want people digging through Y64 and just falling into the void, even though that would be hilarious.
Yeah. Now, there's also a thought I had about rendering.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes in worlds, it's, at least in Java, it takes a while for chunks to load in. And with more blocks to load in,
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be a lot more to render. So this could be a hit. Hopefully they kind of figure out how to render these chunks in a little bit better. Hopefully. I know they did a really good job updating from, 114?
Yeah.
When they did the new chunk render system.
Mm-hmm.
It did help, but I hope, I don't know, there's still some issues sometimes, and I hope they are able to figure that out, especially with the new limits.
You don't want the good progress they've made to immediately be taken away because they got overexcited over something.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that is a very valid point to bring in, that the way Minecraft renders is chunk based. That means everything from Y-64 to build limit will be rendered at one time.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go, oh, I'm flying, there's grass, so I render nothing below the grass. It's like, no, everything in that chunk gets rendered at one time.
Yep, starting from the bottom.
Yep. So it's very important to make note of that. I would assume that they've already thought about this and they're working on it, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? There seems to be a lot of air down there now with all these caves. So maybe it's not as bad as we think.
Yeah, it's true. With the generation going up, 64 more blocks above you, amplified worlds.
Yep.
Would look a lot more exotic. I feel like that's going to be the new thing. You not only have the caves to where you can, build underground. I know people were excited to build underground, but you also have so much limit to the sky also to build above you.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people are going to utilize that extreme or amplified worlds.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I think we already see a few people going back and doing Let's Plays on amplified worlds now that it's been brought back. And it's one of the best presets in the game, especially now that we have elytras. I've been pushing for us to play on an amplified world for a little while now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if there was ever a time, it is now.
Yep, I'm going to help push that. We'll push together.
Push!
Push!
But speaking of the air gaps down below ground, we have some Minecraft changes. You want to go ahead and read those?
Yes. Mineshaft pieces don't generate if they would if they would be fully floating in the air,
Mm-hmm.
that's a good change. Mineshaft corridors are supported by log pillars when needed. I've noticed that. They're not technically floating anymore.
Uh-huh.
Those logs go from the platform all the way down, which is really cool.
They will go 80 blocks down if they have to.
Yeah. And no floating cobwebs.
Good changes.
Bunch of the floating stuff out,
Mm-hmm.
which can be kind of annoying.
Yep, I'd like to see a little bit more life to mineshafts. They have become a little stale, at least to me, early game. You know you're going to run into a cave spider spawner in there. You know you're going to run into a bunch of spider webs. You know there's going to be mobs hiding around the corner and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not asking for giant changes to mineshafts. Maybe just a little stuff. Maybe a few extra chests laying around. And they don't necessarily need to have loot. They can have just random garbage in it, especially early game. Because a block of andesite early game for me is actually kind of important. So I wouldn't consider that garbage, whereas some person might. Maybe, I don't know, a couple ores or something like that. Maybe there's a chest inside of a chest. Just little things. They don't have to be great loot, but when you run across a minecart chest in a mine shaft, you're like, oh yeah, cool. So adding just a little bit more life in them, I think would be a little bit better. Said a little bit a lot there.
Yeah, I do like the fact that they, those mine cart chests that are in the mine shafts, they generate with things that you may need.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that a lot of times you'll get like torches in there.
Yep.
Things that you'll need while you're in there. And yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more of that. Something relative.
Yeah, nothing crazy. I know I've been pushing I would love to have a sharpness 10 sword randomly found somewhere. Nothing like that. But like you said, a few more torches, maybe a couple bits of food, some random blocks somewhere. That'd be cool. And it just brings a little bit of life.
Yeah, a lot of changes. And pretty excited to see all the biomes implemented into these changes. It's going to look really, really cool.
Yeah. But that's kind of it for the news, I think, right?
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
A lot of news. You guys let us know. From our Discord, it seems like everyone's super excited for caves and everything. So keep sending us stuff, whether it be pictures of some cool caves you've found generated or some ideas you have to improve caves. We always like to do the improving ideas. Again, it's not because we don't think Mojang does a great job. They're doing a great job. It's just the more ideas you can throw around, the maybe even more ideas it helps create.
Right. That's a good point.
So let's move on to a listener comment. The listener comment this week is from RebelJC, and he asks, since we now can convert skeletons into strays by freezing them in powdered snow, and convert zombies into drown by drowning them, do you guys think we should be able to convert zombies into husks as well? Yes.
Yeah.
They say maybe we could do this by drawing them out into the daylight to burn and splashing them with potions of harming to keep them from dying, since harming works as healing for the undead. If husks could drop sand, which they should, then it would be a reliable way to farm it. 100% agree. I don't think husks burn in the daylight, though.
No, they don't. But I think he meant, the zombie that's burning.
Oh.
To convert him. Yeah, to convert him.
Got you. Good point. Yeah, I misread that. Yeah, it's finding a good way to convert them that makes sense. To me, the obvious way that would make sense is to add quicksand to the game. We have powdered snow, which to me essentially acts like quicksand in snow. So I kind of expect when we have a desert update or something, we will get a quicksand block.
Yeah.
This to me would be the way to create husks. And yeah, husks should drop sand. They're not creating a zombie spawner farm that converts zombies to husks to drop sand would not be overpowered. If you think about these as XP farms, yeah, everyone has a zombie grinder to start, but the second you get to the end, you ditch that zombie grinder because it doesn't produce as fast as you would need. So this would be very much an AFK way to get sand, and I'm fine with it, 100%.
Yeah, husks just sound like sand.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're like, made of sand in the first place. I love the idea of quicksand. And it sounds like an obvious implementation to the game. Like you have the powdered snow. Why why can't we have quicksand?
Yeah.
And that would be an ideal way to convert into the husk. I'm trying to think of other mob variations that can be converted. I think that's it. Just the zombie and the skeleton.
Well, I mean, you have a villager that can be turned into a witch with lightning strikes.
Right.
The mushroom cows, obviously. Yeah, I think that might be kind of it. The husks, though, they need a little loving. Strays finally got a little loving. And I think Husk will get loving when they get around to redoing the desert. Remember, they're going to redo all the biomes.
Mm-hmm.
The vote was just to determine which ones got done first.
Yep. And it is Valentine's Day. You know, everyone should have a little bit of love. Even the Husks.
Even the Husks. But yeah, I'm thinking how cool it would be to have quicksand. And if you fall all the way through quicksand, you may either, 1, die from suffocation, or 2, you fall into one of these newly generated caves.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That would be really cool, too.
Right. Not technically a falling block. Like, you can go through it.
Yeah.
It's not, controlled by gravity. I like that. A sand that doesn't fall.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
If you don't have anything else, let's go ahead and move on.
No. It's all good.
Thank you for that, RebelJC. That comment was from our Discord, and our Discord is the only place where you can talk to everyone who works on the show easily. Just take C3PO's word for it.
Hello, interwebs. I'm C3PO, a member of the Withering Effect Discord. A great place to talk to fellow like-minded Minecrafters and to get to know the people from the show. Sometimes there are even puppy pictures. Don't delay. Join the Discord today. Link is in the show notes. Toodaloo! Duds made me say that.
Thank you for the Discord ad, C3PO. And speaking of the Discord, it's the only place you can get involved in our Mending Minecraft vote. This week we asked you to choose between 3 biomes for us to discuss and approve. The choices were Nether Waste, Swamp, Flower Forest.
And the winner of Minecraft, or Mending Minecraft this week is... Swamp Biome. Congratulations, Swamp Biome.
I just want to put out, I read 3 scripts in a row without messing up. Just saying.
Oh, you jinxed the crap out of yourself.
Hey, you're the one with the giant paragraph to read here.
Oh, I'm destined. It's, destiny. The votes we got, Nether Waste had 12, Flower Forest only had 6, and this Swamp with 40.
Mm-hmm.
People want to see changes to the swamp.
Swamp's an awesome biome.
Yeah, I actually live in a swamp.
Swamper.
Well, not in real life. Swamps are temperate, murky biomes. There are 2 different variants of the biome. There's the regular swamp and swamp hills. Specific swamp features include the swamp hut, blue orchids, lily pads, and at nighttime, depending on the moon phase, slimes may spawn. Now, a full moon, you'll get more spawns with slime. Half moons, they vary with the spawns. A new moon, no slime spawn.
Nice to know.
Yep. Villagers that spawn in swamps get a unique swamp theme look, while villagers, I told you I was going to mess almost every lineup. While villagers have swamp specific types, no village featuring these villagers can be generated.
Mm-hmm.
Water in swamps takes a gray-green color at the surface, turning pale yellow when submerged in it, and swamps alongside deserts can generate fossils, rare structures under the ground, around Y50.
Cool. Alright, so for me to mend swamps, I made sure and not to go back and look at what Mojang had planned for swamps in the biome vote.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted this to be me and not get any ideas from somewhere else. But it looks like you do have what Mojang thought of. So we'll compare.
Yeah, should I mention it?
Yeah, let's mention what Mojang had in stored, and then I'll say mine, and we'll see which one you guys like better.
Yeah, there's 3 things that they did mention they were going to bring to the swamp, and that's the mangrove trees, boats that hold chests, and frogs. Those will be coming, apparently.
I do like chest boats. That's cool.
Yes, and frogs. I like frogs.
Frogs are kind of cool, too. You just want the frog to eat the bee, and I don't think that's going to happen.
That's exactly what they're going to do. I'm going to learn to code the game for that to happen. You might not hear from me.
Okay. So for my fixing the swamp, I want to concentrate on a new tree, a new mob, and some more surroundings, basically. So for new tree, I thought of the bald cypress. If you Google tree types, swamps and stuff, you'll know what a bald cypress is. And for the log texture, I was thinking it could be one of the first logs that have knots in it. You know, the circular shape you'll often see in wood.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have any wood that has knots, and that might be a little annoying to some people, but I think a good sized knot every once in a while in a log type would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
It would also have a leaf texture that resembles oak, but has Spanish moss textured into it. Now, I know you can't really do the 3D texture like a lot of these texture packs do, but if they just kind of paint it on there, I don't think that would be bad either.
I don't see how this moss can speak Spanish. Is it like, I can't.
You blew the joke from last night, Jimbo.
I can't come back with another part of the joke. I was trying to think of something else clever. But yes, what's the difference between Spanish moss and regular moss? The language? Okay, so I'm done.
The way the joke went at 1 a.m. was when I was explaining to Jimbo what Spanish moss was. He was supposed to say, who taught the moss to speak Spanish?
Yeah, it came out a lot better last night. No more pre-written jokes. That one bombed. I think I can hear crickets in my house. That's how bad that one.
Anyways, I think bald cypress would be a cool tree, adding a leaf type with some more foliage designed into it. We kind of see that with what's the new leaf bush that we're getting? Azalea bush. We see that with that. So I'd like to see some more of that. And I think the Spanish moss would be a great addition to the game. So when it came to mobs, I thought, let's do a hostile mob and a friendly mob. And for hostile mob, I went with alligator. As a Floridian for several years, I thought the only thing you think of in Florida in swamps is the alligator.
Mm-hmm.
You have an alligator, they're going to be mostly docile until you get within a couple of blocks of it. So it'll be one of those territorial mobs, kind of like polar bears when they have babies.
Okay.
The other thing is an alligator will try to eat a turtle. You got to watch out for that.
Or chickens.
It could do chickens. And I thought about maybe it dropping leather, but I don't know if Mojang would want people to actively hunt alligators, even though that is something that does happen.
Yeah.
Like, you get paid in Florida to hunt the gators. You only can hunt so many a year, but there are people who are looking for some gator meat and hide.
Yeah, the gator skin's pretty popular in some areas.
For friendly animals, I want a river otter. This river otter, once you've tamed it, will kind of follow you around like a dog. Maybe even run and climb up onto your shoulder like a parrot. And the cool thing it does is, if it's near you, it'll squeak if a hostile mob comes in range. So that way you know something bad's around the corner.
It's like a little radar.
Little radar.
Yeah.
I thought that'd be awesome and adorable, so we gotta have it.
Yeah, it's going to compete with the axolotls.
Yeah. And finally, we have swamp villagers, but we don't have swamp villages. We're going to do swamp villages, and it'll look like most normal villages, except they would be on stilts. So anywhere you see the one deep water, which is a lot in the swamp biome, you'll see these villages on stilts. And instead of using path blocks to get between all the houses, they'll use actual wooden bridges.
Yeah.
So it'd be one of the more complex villages in the game, but I think it'd be looking so cool.
Yeah, it'd definitely be cool to see. I love the alligator idea. It just sounds ideal for the swamp, and you think, how come they never thought of?
Yeah.
I'm sure they have thought of it. It's been brought up, but an alligator, you think of a swamp, you got to watch out for gators. You know, when you go to a swamp, that's what the most hostile thing is there. Piranha, maybe. You don't
I don't know if there's piranhas in swamps.
Yeah, that's...
I know they're in jungles. For me, the big thing was I didn't want to just create another hostile mob to create another hostile mob. So if you have a gator, you can walk around it and stay out of its range, per se. You don't have to attack this animal, which is something we are seeing with the Deep Dark, right? You have these skulk sensors and everything like that. They're trying to get you to change the way we fight hostile entities and stuff like that. So to me, a gator would be a great starting point in the fact that, oh, there's a gator. I can kill it, or I can just stay 10 blocks away from it and it's not going to attack me anyways.
Yeah. And what I do know about gators or crocodiles, whichever, a lot of them, if they were to run at you, I'm told to run in a zigzag because they can't move in that kind of direction. They can't zigzag with you. They're more of like a straight, come at you straight on. Now, I've noticed this was changed, but the piglins and the piglin brutes at the bastions, their old AI, when they would come at you, they would come at you in a straight line and then stop. If you were to move, they would stop and then come, they look over and then come at you again. They take off in these straight lines. And that's kind of like the AI you would have to give to the gator, and it would help you, get around them. I feel like that would be a good AI.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the whole zigzagging to avoid a gator.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a real thing or not. I know I've heard it.
Oh, well, yeah, I've never tried it.
But I don't know if like some guy who studies alligators will go, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I just looked it up real quick because this is a common misconception. First, it's rare for an alligator to pursue a human. If you do get a gator doing an aggressive charge, run fast and straight, because gators don't run straight. They do that whole whipping their body motion back and forth. That's why I went, what is zigzag going to help there?
I heard the zigzag.
Dude, as someone who grew up in Florida, I heard that also. But then I remember my uncle cursing at us and telling us, like, you run, and there's trees everywhere, and you can get in a tree.
That's a good point. Yeah, they can't climb.
Gators can't climb trees. I loved the ideas for the swamp biome. I think this was one of my better updates, per se.
Yeah, and like I said, they do plan on changing it. I'm sure, the mangrove trees, chest boats, and frogs won't be the only things they're adding. There's going to be a little bit more. So it'll be cool to see what they implement, because the swamp, it's popular with the switch huts. The witch huts, or swamp huts, they're called. The water is kind of off-putting a little bit, but it makes sense.
Yeah. And if you guys liked the ideas we came up with, let's like this episode and get it out there. Maybe Mojang will see it. They do keep an eye all over the place. So maybe they can take some ideas from us, especially the swamp villages. If we have swamp villagers, I'd love to see swamp villages. And obviously it doesn't have to be exactly the way I thought of it, but I thought the way I thought of it would be really cool.
Yeah, I don't know if this was... I feel like I heard something about them taking those villagers out.
Oh, man.
That they're not going to have those kind of villagers. And I actually like the jungle and the swamp villagers textures better than the others.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to see a village of these people and how it would generate, especially like a jungle. Imagine a jungle village in that thick terrain.
Oh, yeah.
That would look pretty cool. Swamp also.
Maybe the swamp villager texture, they wearing gator boots, stuff like that.
Yeah.
They got leather pants.
Yeah, like a...
That's just an image I really
hat.
didn't want to have, and now it's stuck in my head.
They all look like Crocodile Dundee. That'd be good.
Oh, man. All right, well, I think that's going to do it for today's show. But before Jimbo reads us out, I want to say a huge thank you to all of our patrons who are supporting the show. Our milk level patrons are aubni, ChiefBigBear, Crock, FragileRock, ohbeep, StoneFigure, TheOfficialCCL, viperoustuna, and YDYT. If you two would like to get access to exclusive benefits and hours of extra content each month, please consider joining at patreon.com/thewitheringeffect.
And if you like the show, you can share it with all of your friends and on social media. If you listen on Spotify, follow us. Or if you listen on Apple Podcasts, leave us a nice review. Doing any of these really helps the show reach more listeners. If you'd like to get in contact with us, send an email to podcast@thewitheringeffect.com, tweet us, leave a voice message, or join our Discord, where you can have a chat with everyone who works on the show and fellow listeners. All the links will be in the show notes.
This show has been brought to you by Jimbo and myself, but also our digital producer Carl. He helps make sure the show ends up where it should be, and the amazing music you hear in the intro and outro is created by the one and only Decoy. Everyone's social media info can be found down in the show notes. You guys have been awesome as always. Thanks so much for getting withered with us. You should probably go drink your milk now. Bye.
See you guys.